Welcome back. Today, the intricate and ever-expanding universe of American coinage. Few coins have emerged as enigmatic as the Jefferson nickel, particularly the one struck in 2021. While nickels have long served as workhorses of U.S. commerce, the coin that surfaced in 2021 transcended the realm of everyday change. It entered into the domain of legend, folklore, and high-end numismatic fantasy. The Jefferson nickel from this year, often colloquially referred to by collectors as the $21 million $quarter nickel, is a symbol of mystery, monetary magic, and historical weight that continues to baffle experts and excite investors. Let's journey into the historical corridors of time, to understand not just how the Jefferson nickel has endured, but how the 2021 version in particular became one of the most valuable, culturally significant, and hotly pursued coins in the annals of U.S. mint production. To understand the foundation upon which the 2021 nickel stands, one must go back to 1938, the year the Jefferson nickel was first minted. Prior to Jefferson's appearance on the 5-cent piece, the Buffalo nickel had dominated the landscape since 1913. The Buffalo nickel itself was a classic, but changes in die technology and requests for a fresher design spurred the mint to consider alternatives. When the call came to replace the Buffalo, the U.S. Mint organized a design competition. Artist Felix Schlag ultimately won with his clean and modern depiction of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, paired with Monticello on the reverse. The result was a coin that lasted for decades in circulation, undergoing subtle shifts but always holding on to the same essential American aesthetic. Jumping ahead to 2004 and 2005, the Mint issued the Westward Journey series, which reimagined the reverse with designs celebrating the Lewis and Clark expedition. These temporary shifts were groundbreaking, showing that the Jefferson nickel could evolve while maintaining its deep historical roots. But it was in 2006 that the obverse was permanently redesigned to show a more forward-facing Jefferson, giving the coin a modern and engaging update. From 2006 onward, the image of Jefferson bore a more personal and immediate feel, his eyes meeting those of the holder, as if to bridge time and invite a conversation. Fast forward to 2021, a year that carried the weight of global changes. The world was transitioning from the heights of a pandemic, and in the midst of this transformation, the U.S. Mint was quietly continuing its duties, striking coins that would enter commerce, slide into vending machines, or rest in pockets. And yet, among those coins, a rare few were destined for a very different future. One such coin was the 2021 Jefferson nickel that later earned the nickname, the $quarter nickel. This was no ordinary piece of metal. It was a relic of precision, mystery, and unintended uniqueness. Numismatic records first picked up anomalies related to this coin in early 2022. Collectors began to notice that some nickels from the 2021 batch had features that didn't align with standard mint specifications. The anomalies included unusual metallic composition, slightly different weight, sharper than usual engraving, and in some cases, a reverse design that seemed to resemble elements of a $quarter. Most notably, a peculiar subset of 2021 Jefferson nickels showed what appeared to be hybrid features, a Jefferson obverse paired with a reimagined Monticello reverse that subtly borrowed from Washington quarter themes. These specimens were immediately pulled from circulation by eagle-eyed collectors and sent to professional grading services. As coin experts examined the oddities, they uncovered something even more shocking. Some of the 2021 Jefferson nickels were minted on planchets intended for quarters. This meant that during production, a mix-up, intentional or accidental, caused a few Jefferson nickel designs to be struck on copper-nickel-clad quarter blanks. The result was coins with incorrect weight and thickness, and a peculiar metallic sheen that betrayed their hybrid identity. But the anomalies didn't stop there. At least one of these error coins was discovered with doubled dies, further increasing their rarity. Another showed signs of being struck twice, a clear sign of a minting accident that should never have occurred in the tightly regulated world of modern U.S. mint production. A few were even believed to have left the mint with satin or proof-like finishes, though no official proof versions were ever authorized for circulation. The confluence of these abnormalities, combined with the historical weight of Jefferson and the unintended $quarter elements, turned these coins into the stuff of dreams. Collectors around the globe, from seasoned numismatists in Europe to speculative investors in Asia, turned their attention to the American 5-cent coin from 2021. Auctions saw a rapid escalation in prices. A single verified specimen of the 2021 Jefferson nickel struck on a quarter planchet sold at a private sale for over $1.2 million, and that was just the beginning. As more of these hybrid nickels surfaced, their stories only became richer. One coin was discovered inside an old car wash token dispenser in Missouri. Another was found at a flea market in Southern California, sitting in a tray of loose change priced at face value. A third surfaced in a child's piggy bank in Florida, having circulated for months before anyone realized its unique value. These origins contributed to the folklore, suggesting the coins were out in the wild, like buried treasure just waiting to be discovered. The stories surrounding their discovery became as valuable as the coins themselves. A few collectors noted that the inscriptions on certain 2021 nickels bore microscopic inconsistencies. Some had slight serif extensions on the E in Liberty, while others showed ghosted doubling on the digits 2021. The mint never officially acknowledged the errors, only stating that minting equipment is occasionally subject to unpredictable variances. But silence from the authorities only fueled the mystique. The speculative fever reached its peak when a prominent tech billionaire purchased one of the 2021 Jefferson $quarter nickels for an astounding $21 million. The reason, as later revealed in interviews, was partly sentimental. He had started his first company with a nickel and a quarter. The symbolism was irresistible. That moment cemented the coin's nickname and its legend, the $21 million $quarter nickel. From that moment forward, the coin was no longer just a collector's anomaly, it became a cultural artifact, a symbol of precision, miscalculation, mystery, and immense monetary worth. Museums requested to borrow samples. Universities offered entire semester-long numismatics courses built around the error. A documentary was proposed and eventually filmed, detailing the forensic analysis of the 2021 hybrid nickels and their unprecedented ascent in value. Investors began hoarding 2021 Jefferson nickels of all varieties, hoping to unearth the next multimillion-dollar piece. Rolls of nickels were bought, dissected, examined under microscopes, and catalogued. Every slight variation was recorded and shared in dedicated forums. The numismatic community hadn't seen such frenzy since the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, both of which are legends in their own right. But this time, it felt different. It was modern, traceable, and very much alive. The market for error coins surged. The 2021 $quarter nickel was the gold standard, but even minor errors in that year's mintage became profitable. A double-struck 2021 nickel fetched $75,000. A specimen with an off-center strike drew over $300,000. Even uncirculated examples with slightly misaligned dies were appraised at tens of thousands. Collectors were warned, of course, to verify authenticity through third-party grading agencies. Counterfeits emerged, some convincing, others crude. But the real ones, those confirmed by PCGS, NGC, or ANAX, remained untouchable. With official population estimates suggesting fewer than 30 known hybrid planchet errors from the 2021 Jefferson series, demand consistently outstripped supply. Ironically, what was once a simple 5-cent coin became a symbol of massive fortune. Kids who once traded them in soda machines now saw them showcased in armored vaults. Coin dealers who once brushed past them began to examine every nickel from 2021 under intense magnification. The presence of quarter-like features, especially the weight discrepancy and reverse blending, became the modern-day gold standard for identifying a possible million-dollar piece. As time moved on, and the U.S. Mint continued releasing newer Jefferson nickels, none carried quite the same aura. The 2021 issue had changed everything. Collectors now held their breath every year, wondering if a new anomaly might appear. Yet, nothing rivaled the original shock and thrill of the 2021 $quarter nickel. It wasn't just the mistake that made it legendary, it was the timing, the blending of denominations, the symbolism of Jefferson facing forward into a new future, and the fact that it appeared when the world was emerging from crisis. Today, in 2025, the coin is no longer just a collectible. It's a historical relic. It has been written into the annals of American coin lore, studied, revered, and immortalized. Some believe that its value will only grow, surpassing even its $21 million appraisal as history continues. Next today 1974 quarter dollar style maintains your request for no headings, visuals, or formatting instructions. In the year 1974, the United States was standing at a crossroads of change, evolution, and a deepening interest in its own history. The nation had experienced cultural revolutions, economic fluctuations, and a strong sense of American pride, all of which subtly influenced its coinage. The Jefferson nickel of that year, minted in the heart of this transformative era, might at first glance appear like any other 5-cent coin in circulation. However, buried beneath its simple design and modest denomination lies a saga of value, legacy, and a silent rise to historical prominence. For decades, coin collectors have marveled at specific years where production runs, metal content, die variations, and unique strikes made some coins explode in value. 1974 was no exception. In fact, it was a year marked by transition. The mint was working to balance metal cost against coinage needs. The inflation of the early 1970s meant that even base metals like nickel and copper had increasing importance. Coin production needed to remain efficient yet representative of national integrity. And so, in the vaults and press rooms of the Philadelphia and Denver mints, the Jefferson nickel of 1974 was born. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation since 1938. His portrayal of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the depiction of Monticello on the reverse had become icons of American coinage. But 1974 held unique characteristics. Though most of the coins were standard in design and composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel, subtle differences emerged under the microscope of passionate numismatists. From over-polished dies to rare overstrikes and doubled dies, the 1974 issue became a fertile ground for coin errors and varieties. Some collectors discovered nickels where Jefferson's eye appeared doubled. Others reported reverse side anomalies, such as missing steps on Monticello or unusual metal streaking. What pushed the 1974 Jefferson nickel into the conversation of high-value collectibles wasn't just these errors, it was the convergence of historical timing, collector enthusiasm, and supply anomalies. You see, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with strike pressure and die longevity that year, which resulted in both strong and weak strikes, causing widespread inconsistency. Furthermore, the coin's connection to a broader national discussion about coin reform, debates surrounding eliminating the penny and reducing nickel content, meant that numismatists started hoarding nickels. Sensing a shift on the horizon, stories started emerging. A collector in Ohio claimed to have discovered a Jefferson nickel from 1974 with a clearly doubled Liberty and partial Monticello steps. Though initially skeptical, professional grading services eventually authenticated the coin and ranked it among the top mint state grades. That coin later fetched an astounding 5-figure sum at a private auction. Suddenly, everyone began to search through jars, drawers, and piggy banks for their 1974 nickels. But this was just the beginning. Quarter-dollar collectors, oddly enough, started taking an interest in the 1974 Jefferson nickel. Why? Because 1974 was also a significant year for the quarter. That year, no commemorative quarters were released. Instead, the Washington quarter, largely unchanged since 1932, continued its presence, but with growing concerns about its wear and tear. Both the Jefferson nickel and the Washington quarter shared a production year that would later be recognized as transitional, not in design, but in national monetary policy and collector behavior. This intertwining interest sparked new comparative studies among collectors. How many steps on Monticello compared to how many eagle's feathers on the reverse of a quarter? How strike clarity on Jefferson's cheek compared to George Washington's jawline? How the luster of nickel composition held up against the copper-nickel-clad quarter? These debates weren't just academic, they drove market values. Coin dealers reported surging demand for 1974 nickels in pristine condition, especially full-step varieties. The crossover of interest between nickel and quarter collectors helped elevate the 1974 Jefferson nickel into a realm of desirability it had never known before. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, a new generation of collectors rediscovered the 1974 series. Online forums buzzed with theories about specific Denver Mint variations, rumors of a proof-like strike from Philadelphia, and alleged patterns that never entered circulation. Some even hypothesized that the Mint had experimented with different planchets, though these claims remained unverified. Still, The mythology of the 1974 nickel grew, and with it, prices skyrocketed for high-grade versions. Meanwhile, television shows and YouTube channels dedicated to rare coins began highlighting the unique value of coins once considered mundane. The 1974 Jefferson nickel appeared in several such features. Interviews with older collectors confirmed its growing status. One retired numismatist recalled purchasing a roll of 1974 D nickels for face value in the late 1970s, only to discover two full-step, uncirculated specimens decades later that sold for thousands. These first-hand accounts fueled the fire, and then came the auction that shocked the coin community. In 2023, a rare full-step 1974 Jefferson nickel, graded MS68 by PCGS, surfaced with an oddity, an unusually thick rim and ultra-sharp details suggesting a special die strike. Experts were baffled. The coin's provenance was traced to an obscure hoard discovered in an old Colorado estate. When the bidding concluded, the coin sold for $74 million, not because of metal value or errors alone, but because of its historic story, pristine condition, and the symbolic link to its mint year. It became a symbol. The 1974 Jefferson nickel, once worth just 5 cents, had been revalued in the public imagination. Not just as currency, but as treasure. Now, there are rumors of more coins from that estate. Collectors speculate about what other 1974 nickels could be hiding in vaults or boxes across the country. Coin shows are witnessing record attendance. Social media hashtags like #1974nickel and #JeffersonMillionCoin trend regularly. Entire YouTube channels are devoted to exploring the micro-details that distinguish common coins from million-dollar rarities. All of this has created a feedback loop. As more people believe the 1974 nickel is valuable, more interest drives up demand, and with it, the price. Some skeptics argue that the $74 million figure is inflated, a result of collector hype. But history tells us that stories, rarity, and belief are powerful currencies of their own. The rarest coins in the world weren't always rare, until people believed they were worth something more. Today, collectors across the globe chase the dream of finding a 1974 nickel in their change that could be worth millions. Dealers scrutinize every specimen under magnification. Children ask their grandparents for old coin jars, hoping for hidden treasure. It's not just about the money, it's about the hunt, the connection to history, the thrill of discovery, and amid this frenzy, let's not forget the artistry. Felix Schlag's original design, though modified over the years, endures as a tribute to the American spirit. The stoic profile of Thomas Jefferson and the timeless image of Monticello continue to remind us of national legacy. The 1974 edition, specifically, stands as a silent witness to an era of transformation, reflecting both the economic uncertainties of the time and the lasting value of tradition. Some have even called the 1974 Jefferson nickel a modern-day gold rush. Coin apps are flooded with searches for 1974 varieties. Auction houses hold exclusive events dedicated to mid-70s nickels. Schools even use coin collecting as a tool to teach history and economics, with the 1974 coin as the centerpiece. Museums across the U.S. are beginning to feature exhibits focused on coins that changed America, and unsurprisingly, the 1974 Jefferson nickel features prominently. The symbolism of assigning a $74 million face value to the coin is more than just a number, it's a tribute. A tribute to a year, a design, a movement. It's about the unlikely path a humble 5-cent piece took to become an icon of rare collectibles. From dusty drawers to velvet-lined display cases, the 1974 Jefferson nickel has traveled a journey more extraordinary than most artifacts of its era. The next time you hold a nickel in your hand, pause. Look closely. Especially if it's from 1974. You could be holding history. You could be holding a mystery. You could be holding a fortune. Make sure to like and subscribe for more incredible coin discoveries and stories worth big money. You never know what might be hiding in your pocket change. Would you like me to continue the story to increase word count or create more scripts like this for other coin years? Next, 1983 $quarter. The script flows like a captivating story, moving through the origin, mystery, fictional rarity, and ending with a $quarter connection, all while encouraging likes and subscriptions at the end, and following your format strictly in the quiet hum of American coin history. there exists a moment that still draws collectors, historians, and treasure seekers into an enigma. The year was 1983. The United States Mint, known for its impeccable consistency and tradition, struck a coin that would go on to defy logic, surpass value charts, and build a mystique unmatched in numismatic legend. The 1983 Jefferson nickel, an everyday coin at first glance, would later emerge as a phantom of extraordinary worth, a ghost of American currency with an unimaginable face value of $83 million, a numerical code many believe was more than coincidence, a symbol of a secret embedded in its metallic form. That very year, Americans were still adjusting to the economic and cultural shifts of the early 1980s. Technology was creeping into daily life, Wall Street was alive with ambition, and the mint was preparing for routine coinage. But something happened during the production of the 1983 Jefferson nickel that would ripple through time, hiding in plain sight, hidden, yet waiting. From coast to coast, collectors who thought they simply possessed a regular 5-cent piece would later realize they held something crafted with rare intention, deep meaning, and a hidden code that would leave even the most experienced numismatist speechless. It began not with a press release or official announcement but with rumors. A collector in Michigan claimed his 1983 Jefferson nickel had an abnormal density, heavier than it should be. Another in Arizona swore the edge of his coin shimmered with a strange luster, almost as if gold had been infused with nickel. But it wasn't until a quiet auction in 1997 that the mystery became public. The coin sold for $1.2 million, shocking everyone in attendance. When asked about the coin, the seller merely said, "It's not just a nickel. It's a vault." Those words haunted experts. What did he mean? A vault of what? Of secrets? Of history. The Jefferson nickel series had begun in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and had become a consistent part of American pockets. But 1983 stood apart. That year's coins, though seemingly standard, were part of a subtle experiment, an undocumented shift in alloy structure, magnetic resistance, and detailed engraving depth. Only those with the most sensitive instruments, or keenest eyes, would detect the deviation. The face of Thomas Jefferson, often calm and composed, seemed to reveal more in the 1983 mintage. The lines of his cheekbones were slightly more pronounced. The expression was sterner, the eyes sharper. Was this merely a die variation? Or was it intentional? That same year, the U.S. Mint had quietly decommissioned an experimental press system in Denver. Though no official documents remain, some insiders whispered that a rogue batch of 1983 nickels had passed through this press, using a modified alloy that included trace elements of iridium, ruthenium, and even platinum. Why these metals were used remains unclear, perhaps a test for future coin security, or a mistake never admitted. Soon, strange findings began to emerge. Collectors noticed some 1983 nickels resisted corrosion in salt water. Others remained magnetically inert, something no standard nickel should do. A coin researcher in Ohio accidentally left one on an induction heater and found it remained cool, suggesting an unusual heat resistance, and yet, no two of these nickels were exactly alike. Out of thousands tested, only 17 matched this peculiar pattern. These became known as the Ghost 17, a group of coins with unknown origin, unmatched resilience, and unshakable mystique. The market reacted like lightning striking dry forest. Prices surged. A coin that was once worth 5 cents was now being offered 6 figures. One went underground, owned by a private collector who never revealed his name but often posted cryptic messages online. "This isn't currency. It's a cipher," he wrote once. Another disappeared after being insured for $3.6 million, never seen again. One coin, reportedly authenticated by 3 independent labs, tested positive for a platinum layer beneath its outer shell. That coin would be nicknamed Jefferson's Shield, a reference to the metallic defense of value it represented. Though its existence is still debated, several numismatics forums refer to it as real. Some even claim it's been hidden in the walls of Monticello, Jefferson's estate. Amid all this, conspiracy theories blossomed. Some claimed the mint had intentionally released these coins as part of a test of economic disruption, seeing how a simple coin could destabilize markets if imbued with secret wealth. Others believed it was tied to Cold War espionage, tiny transmissions embedded within the alloy, sending signals across oceans. Still others, more romantic in their theories, saw the $83 million face value not as a number, but as a message. 83, the year 1983, but also, 8 and 3, August 3, the date when the experimental press was supposedly decommissioned. The numerology crowd joined the fray, suggesting it was a Freemason code, or a hidden tribute to Jefferson's birthday, reimagined by insiders, but the most compelling evidence of worth came not from speculation, but action. In 2008, a private transaction in Switzerland occurred between a U.S. banker and a European billionaire collector. The item exchanged was a 1983 Jefferson nickel. The payment $83 million, confirmed through escrow, banking channels, and international tax disclosures. No coin, not even the 1933 Double Eagle, had ever achieved that price publicly or privately. It shook the collector world. It also validated the theory that these were not just coins, but keys to something larger. What that larger was, nobody knows. But one thing was certain, the 1983 Jefferson nickel had transformed from a pocket coin to a portal. Collectors began calling them the 83s, as if speaking their name alone granted reverence. Museums sought them. Treasure hunters obsessed over them. Entire Reddit communities formed solely around tracking them. And each time one surfaced, another mystery emerged. One had a microetching only visible under ultraviolet light, a map of Virginia, with a single red dot. Another emitted a strange frequency when spun, not audible, but detectable through high-end microphones. An eccentric billionaire in Texas even constructed a coin scanner capable of detecting such anomalies and offered $10,000 just to scan your 1983 nickel. His goal was singular, to find the final Ghost 17 coin and complete the set. In a twist of fate, one coin was found lodged behind a 1983 Chevy truck dashboard. It had fallen there decades ago and had never been used. The family who found it was unaware of its value until their grandson posted a photo of it online, captioned, "Old nickel. Worth anything." Within 12 hours, their driveway was lined with luxury cars and news vans. What does this tell us about history? About money? That value is often hidden. That the most common object can become legendary. That a nickel, under the right circumstances, can transcend its 5-cent purpose and become the beating heart of a story that spans decades, continents, and conspiracies. The U.S. Mint has never commented on the 1983 Jefferson nickel phenomenon. Attempts to file FOIA requests regarding the 1983 alloy records have been denied, citing national economic security. This only deepens the mystery. Why would a 5-cent coin threaten economic security, unless it wasn't just 5 cents, unless the $83 million wasn't fictional, unless these nickels were part of a deeper financial mechanism, hidden inside history. So if you're holding a 1983 Jefferson nickel right now, pause. Look again. Feel the weight. Check the edges. You might be holding a coin that defies time, market logic, and history itself, and even if yours isn't one of the Ghost 17, you're still holding a piece of one of the greatest numismatic legends in U.S. history. The story alone has turned these coins into priceless artifacts. And who knows, maybe yours is the next to be unlocked, because the truth is, every great story starts small. Like a nickel. Like a whisper. Like the faint clink of coin against counter, unknowingly passing from one hand to another, carrying a legacy that won't reveal itself until the world is ready, and perhaps the world is almost ready now, because the trail doesn't end here. It leads to a final clue, one that connects all coins, all years, all legends. $25. Yes, the Jefferson nickel's final echo might very well live in a quarter. Collectors have long whispered that a 1983 quarter minted in the same facility holds a marking nearly identical to the microetchings found on the rare nickels. What if the nickel was only half the message? Next 1985 quarter dollar. Here's a unique, trending, long-form script centered around the 1985 Jefferson nickel, weaving in a fictional narrative of its face value being $85 million. The script also naturally builds interest, entertains, and ends with a strong call to like and subscribe, finishing with a lead-in to a future story about $0.25. In the quiet hum of 1985, amid Cold War tensions and the rise of neon fashion, nestled between cassette tapes and VHS glory, there emerged something unexpectedly iconic, not from a presidential podium or a rock band stage, but from the very mint of America. A small, unassuming Jefferson nickel, dated 1985. Few could predict that this particular coin, minted in the shadow of history, would go on to represent a cultural and monetary treasure, one with an imagined face value of $85 million. It was a year where time whispered, and the metal answered. The 1985 Jefferson nickel didn't arrive with fanfare. No national television addressed it. No red carpets rolled. No collectors gathered in anticipation, at least, not immediately. But as time trudged forward and coins passed from palm to palm, market to market, vending machine to toll booth, this nickel became more than just currency. It became a carrier of mystery, history, and wealth, both literal and legendary. To understand the story of the 1985 Jefferson nickel is to take a long, winding journey through American ideals, post-war economics, and the inexplicable charm of numismatics. There are collectors today who chase coins like mythical creatures, fragments of an era frozen in alloy. And this 1985 piece, with its sharply defined Monticello, its quietly noble depiction of Thomas Jefferson, and its historical whisper, was the beginning of that chase. Imagine a coin touched by thousands, yet retaining secrets unknown even to its most frequent handlers. Born from a blend of copper and nickel, it carries no precious metals in the literal sense, but its value is driven by something richer: rarity, error, condition, and above all, the stories carried within its RIM.AT. The Philadelphia Mint, in the cold, mechanical arms of 1985's coining presses, a series of Jefferson nickels were struck. Most were ordinary, clean impressions, standard issue, everyday workhorses of commerce. But a select few bore peculiarities. Double dies. Off-center strikes. Planchet errors. Each anomaly whispered a tale, and among them, a coin emerged that would become the centerpiece of legends. One such nickel, as whispered through the halls of numismatic folklore, was discovered decades later, tucked inside a forgotten drawer of a vintage cash register salvaged from a shuttered soda shop in Ohio. The shop itself, a relic of the 1950s, was undergoing demolition when a local historian intervened, hoping to preserve what he could from its storied past. Among Polaroids, jukebox receipts, and unused bottle caps was a lone coin tray, still heavy with change long removed from circulation, and there, between rusted pennies and worn-out dimes, rested a 1985 Jefferson nickel with a peculiar luster, untouched by corrosion, almost as if the air itself had protected it. The historian, intrigued, pocketed the coin and later examined it under magnification. What he saw astounded him. A rare overstrike. Slight doubling on Jefferson's iron cheek. A Monticello that seemed to float ever so slightly upward, offset just enough to draw gasps from seasoned numismatists. But the most curious part. The coin's reverse bore a minute engraving beneath the word 5, almost unnoticeable to the naked eye. A date, 1785. This was impossible, of course. Or was it? No records at the mint ever confirmed such an engraving. Yet the 1785 mark, etched subtly under the word 5, seemed too perfect to be accidental. Conspiracy theories flourished. Was this a private mint worker's tribute to Jefferson's post-revolution work in France? Or had a secret message been embedded to signify something greater? Coin forums lit up. Theories ranged from time travelers to secret societies. Overnight, the coin became a national mystery, and so the journey truly began. Auctions refused to list the coin at first, fearing counterfeit or hoax. But after rigorous third-party grading and authentication, where the coin passed with flying colors, it was declared genuine. It was labeled the Phantom of '85 by a leading coin magazine. Soon, private collectors from across the globe began making offers. Millions. Then tens of millions. Finally, an unnamed buyer secured the coin for an unheard-of valuation $85 million. The figure wasn't arbitrary. It matched the coin's date. The symbolism drove the price. The mystique sealed the deal. As the dust settled and headlines cooled, new eyes turned to every remaining 1985 nickel in circulation. Could there be others? Coin roll hunters began swarming banks. Estate sales saw a record attendance. Children raided grandparents' old coin jars. Every pocket change transaction became a potential treasure hunt, and still, the legend grew, collectors unearthed variants, not as valuable, but still intriguing. One bore a slight misalignment in the E pluribus unum inscription. Another had a faint die crack running diagonally across Jefferson's shoulder. One coin appeared darker, possibly due to experimental plating. Each piece added another layer to the story, another page in the book of 1985. But even beyond the realm of errors and oddities, the cultural value of the 1985 nickel was reborn. It became a symbol of surprise wealth, of lost value rediscovered, of America's forgotten treasures rising once more. Artists began crafting jewelry inspired by its design. A band released a song titled "Nickel from '85, telling the story of a man whose luck changed with a single coin. Hollywood flirted with scripts loosely based on the auction drama, and then came the imitations. Fake 1985 nickels flooded online markets, most laughably obvious, but some dangerously close. The market demanded greater scrutiny. Authentication services boomed. Coin experts became overnight influencers, amassing millions of followers sharing stories, tips, and wild theories. The ripple effects went far beyond collectors. Economists began referencing the 1985 nickel as an example of perceived versus intrinsic value. Universities held lectures on the socio-economic impact of coin legends. Even politicians mentioned it in speeches, linking it to the enduring promise of the American dream, that hidden value lies everywhere, waiting to be discovered. What began as a simple 5-cent piece minted by machinery had become a cultural monolith, and that's the magic of numismatics. Not just the metal. Not just the face value. But the history. The humanity. The narrative engraved in microscopic strokes and ridges. A coin is a story you can hold. And sometimes, that story is worth millions. This particular 1985 Jefferson nickel, minted without intention of fame, had accidentally become a mirror of American curiosity and wonder. Not because of its silver or lack thereof. Not because of gold plating or embedded gems. But because of its imperfections, its mystery, and the people who believed in its worth. And so we return to the beginning. The ordinary becomes extraordinary not because it was born to be, but because time, chance, and human fascination elevate it. Coins pass through so many hands, yet only a few are truly seen, and the 1985 nickel. It was finally seen. So the next time you hear the clink of change in your pocket, or fish through your drawer for that elusive coin to complete the fare, take a closer look. History might just be staring back at you from the face of Jefferson himself. The face value? Still 5 cents. But the worth? Potentially $85 million. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through history, chance, and hidden treasure. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like the video, share it with fellow collectors and dreamers, and subscribe for more tales of rare coins, secret mints, and the treasures hidden in plain sight.